I'll do it, Cham. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry about those technical difficulties. We were both like, oh, I gotta get on live today. I'm so excited because we have got my friend, the chief evangelist at BombBomb, co-author of Rehumanize Your Business and of the new Human-Centered Communications, and host of the Customer Experience Podcast. Ethan has spent the past decade helping business professionals move forward and be human through simple video messages. I'm really excited to talk to him. He knows what he's talking about. He's done over 12,000 personal videos himself, and he lives just down the road from me. Well, I mean, Colorado speaking, just down the road from me, a couple of hours in Colorado Springs, which I didn't know. We got to meet yesterday with some of our other co-authors of the new book, which we're going to share more information about. And I'm just psyched. Ethan, you're gonna, if you don't know him already, you're just gonna love him because he's just awesome and kind and sweet and knowledgeable and authentic and all the good words. So go ahead, Cham. Let's bring on Ethan. Say hi to everybody.
Thank you so much for all those good words. That was really kind of you. And I'm so glad that you joined us in this human-centered communication journey that we've been on the past year, and is now finally coming to life in the market, and soon will be coming into people's hands.
Yeah. I mean, human-centered communication. Let's talk about that a little bit. Why? I mean, hello, we're human. We talk. Why isn't it like a no-brainer? Why isn't it like, aren't we doing human-centered communication?
Yeah, it's funny. That was my wife's first question when I, as we were talking about how are we going to title the book and what the theme was going to be. And it's interesting. I think most of us, when you think through it, most of us probably assume that we are communicating in a human-centered way, but we really aren't. I think we're always in such a rush. Two main issues here. One, we're always in a rush just to say the things we think we need to say to the right people before time passes, like at the right time, like whatever. What do I need to say? What do I need to say? And we say things.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have all these systems and processes and mechanizations where we think where we're treating people in a uniform, homogeneous way by sending the exact same stuff in the exact same order on the exact same cadence to this wide variety of truly unique people who are at different stages of relationship with us and all of this. And so there are a number of ways that we put other things first when we're constructing our messages and experiences and communications, than the person who is to receive them and ideally connect and communicate back and forth with us. And so at some level, this is a restoration of what we know is what we all know is right. At some level, it's a reminder of common sense. At another level, it's a challenge to really be honest with ourselves about where we're dehumanizing ourselves, dehumanizing our team members, and ultimately dehumanizing our customers by treating them in kind of an industrial manner.
Exactly. I mean, you think about where marketing is gone, where sales has gone. And I think we swung a little bit too far into the automation side of things where, dear first name. And we lost that human engagement, and then bring on 2019, 2020 and 2021, bring on COVID and a pandemic, and now we're not meeting as much face. I mean, our friends in Australia, they're still not able to leave the country, right? And so we missed out a little bit on that human communications. Now you're the chief evangelist. You've got a title like mine. I'm the chief visibility officer. You're the chief evangelist at BombBomb. Video is so important. Why should, obviously the answer is human-centered communication, but why should sales professionals blend their video messaging into their outreach and communication?
Yeah, I think when we think about outreach, right? Yeah. LinkedIn messages, text messages, emails, phone calls, voicemails, Zoom calls, etc. we're missing this opportunity to communicate the whole message with our whole selves. I think our intent, this is something that we overlook so often. We think, you know, we all know that we make decisions emotionally and then we rationalize them later. I think most people understand that intellectually, but in practice, we act another way. We think that reason and ROI and numbers and math and arguments are going to be what compels people to move forward. What people care about more than anything else is your intent, right? As you're presenting opportunities or these types of things that we're doing with our outreach. They care about your intent, and intent is kind of a catch-all for motivation, sincerity, acting in their best interests, and making it truly for them and about them, and identifying them for who they are, where they are, what their real problem or opportunity is, et cetera. And so I think when we fail to use video a little bit earlier and a little bit more often at the beginning of the relationship and throughout the relationship, we're missing opportunities to convey things like intent, in addition to being able to show and tell with screen recordings, to save some time by talking instead of typing, to give people something that they can easily forward to other decision makers that you might not know about, where you get to advance the ideas and you don't have to rely on your champion as the proxy for you and your ideas and the opportunity, et cetera. You get to, there are countless reasons people should be using video. Those are just a few.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. And Julie Hansen, who's also one of the contributors to the book, you know, she addresses those issues that people have, because, you know, the question being, why aren't sales professionals using this more? Like, by now we all kind of know we should be using video. Hopefully, I mean, at the very least, we've all, raise your hand if you have not been on a Zoom call, you know, in the past 48 months. There's no raised hands because 24 months. There's no raised hands because we've all done Zoom calls. But for some reason, this concept of video, I mean, to this day, I have received, other than my own company, of course, I've received 4 video messages from people on LinkedIn that I'm connected to, and I have 30,000 connections. 4 video messages. Like, why aren't sales professionals using video messages?
Yeah, one big idea for people first, so we're all on the same page, and then I'll give you 3 quick reasons why people aren't doing it. First, you know, we all know that we need to be on video with Zoom calls, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, et cetera, but we have to be there at the exact same time. What a video message allows you to do is create these little in-person moments, whether it's a thank you, good job, congratulations, whether it's corrective feedback or encouraging feedback for a team member, whether it's information for a prospect, client, et cetera, right? But it's outside of time. You record it when it's convenient for you. You send it to 1 people or 5 people or 5,000 people, and each of them has this in-person moment with you at their own convenience. So, so it's important to know that you can do this outside of time, unlike a Zoom call where you can do it across distance, but you have to do it at the same time. This is
exactly
outside of distance and outside of time. So that's one thing.
Point.
3 reasons people aren't using video messages in my observation and experience. Number 1, human vulnerability. We don't feel comfortable in our own skin. We don't like the way that we look. We don't like the way we sound. We're not
bad hair day.
Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? All these things, human vulnerability, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. It's very deep. It's very natural. There are actually survival instincts baked into this fear of judgment and rejection. So that's number 1. And the only way through that is practice. Number 2 is generally speaking, I'll say myopia, kind of a short-term view. I think people are buying video right now. And as a consequence, some companies are selling video messages right now with a very myopic take. And by myopic, I mean, it's a short-term view. They see it very largely for top of funnel, that it's exclusively for prospecting, right? And so if it doesn't work for prospecting quite the way, like I think, especially 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago to about 12 months ago, so much of the conversation was about video prospecting. And it's just such a small vision of what this whole opportunity is. And what winds up happening then is, well, these people weren't responding to your cold messages anyway. And so
exactly.
The trouble of recording a video and they don't respond, you feel like, now I'm super pissed at video because it's harder to do than just blasting out the same canned message that I was blasting out before. And so, I think until people unlock the full potential and maybe even start communicating internally or with people that they already have a relationship with, where they're guaranteed to get these replies that let them know this is different and better, period. So there's this kind of like small view of video right now that is kind of a chicken and egg selling and buying prospecting top of funnel dilemma. That's kind of a messy one, but that's a category for me. And then the third one is fear, I think, of a sales leader or a sales manager. That's because that's a really great area to use video and is the entire sales motion.
Yeah.
Why would I bother to risk my job knowing that my tenure as a VP sales is already something like 18 to 24 months? I don't know what the average is now, but like, you know, why would I go through all the trouble to take this leap of faith and to you know, create this change inside my culture and all of this? Like, so there's a what we're doing now is good enough. And then on the other side, this is like, why would I bother? I'm just going to keep doing the things we're doing now and maybe press for more volume in order to get to these numbers that I'm under pressure on. So there are several reasons. Those are just a few. I think the biggest one though, is that first one, human vulnerability and fear of judgment and rejection.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And to your point, it's interesting because we run, you know, a lot of sales teams through our Selling with Video program. And number one, if the sales leader isn't bought in and isn't actively participating, the sales, his sales folks won't be. Without a doubt, every time we have a non-interested sales leader, it's like, here's your money back, because there's one or two people who are going to get it, and that's it. That's a big one. And then the other one, of course, and we're coming across this right now, is it was okay to be doing Selling with Video during COVID because it was like one of the few ways to prospect. But now this company that we're working with, they started on Selling with Video, and then the country opened up, and now they're traveling, and it's really hard to get their attention to finish up because they're going, well, to your point, I can make the phone calls. I can do the emails. I've got to do I don't have time for this video stuff because I have to do prospecting. And you're kind of going, but no, wait. How about,
so that's another layer of kind of the myopia is like, I only need this when I can't be there in person, as opposed to saying, here's one way to look at it. If you look at all of the plain, faceless, typed out text that you're sending in order to connect and communicate with the people that your success is built with and for and through and upon, you're going to see opportunities to use video, even if you're getting out in front of people face to face.
Exactly.
I mean, two absolute money videos, and I know that you teach these too. One is when you set the meeting, whether that meeting is over the phone, whether that meeting is on Zoom, or whether that meeting is in person at that person's office or at the local coffee shop or wherever it might be.
Yeah.
Before the meeting, to confirm the appointment, to build up value, to create some expectation, to make sure that they prepare anything that they need to prepare, to make sure that they know that you're working really hard to make it a really productive meeting, to reduce no-shows, et cetera. But the real money one is afterward. And I know a lot of sales reps do a good job of this, of like taking notes through the meeting and sending notes afterward.
Right.
You can make that a video message afterward. And what you're doing is you're using their language back to them. You're meeting them where they are emotionally, and then kind of moving to this brighter future of, a year from now, after we've made this commitment together, this is what the future can look like relative to your problem or opportunity, whatever the case may be. And then you're also, again, as I said earlier, you're giving them something they can forward to other people who weren't in that meeting, right? And so even if you did spend that time together in person, these bookends to that, these little in-person moments. One, I guarantee people are going to greet you in a warmer and better fashion, this kind of, and I know you know this as well as anyone, Viveka, because I know it happens to you, especially as you get back out on the road again, is that people greet you like they know you, like they've known you for some period of time, and they don't, but it's such an advantage for you, even if you are going to have the privilege of getting together with them in person. And so, the point of reference isn't, am I meeting them in person? It's, is sending this in a 30-second or 60-second or even 3-minute video in the case you're maybe answering a complex question.
Right.
Your back-end report. Is this better than if I typed it out in sentences and paragraphs? And in so many cases, the answer is an obvious yes.
Yeah. And once you get used to it, once you get used to the technology, it doesn't even, I'm a terrible typist, so it might even be faster to send the quick video than anything else. And I love what you said there. When I first started teaching on social media, like literally 15 years ago, what I said is, the more you research the person, the more you engage with the person, the more you see what they're sharing online, the more you have a sense of who they are. So, even though it's a false sense of familiarity, it doesn't matter. It's still a sense of familiarity. And it's that sense of familiarity that builds that KLT, that know, like, and trust. It should be a drinking game. Every time I say KLT, people should take a shot, but
Awesome.
it's too early in the morning for that. But, and then video takes that to a whole new level, because like you said, people see you, compared to just emails with the picture of you 20 pounds ago and 5 years ago. And then, or the LinkedIn picture of you 20 pounds and 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
Right. And then they meet you in real life and they're like,
are you Tim? Or are you just they're like looking at your LinkedIn? I guess that, hey, Tim.
Hi.
Or Jeff or Tina or
whoever. Or Jeff or Tina or whoever. Yeah. And then you've just lost any kind of momentum and trust that you built. But if you've been sending those videos and you show up in real life, that's awesome. And like you said, it's like your buddies already, your friends already.
Yeah. And again, it's even though it might feel awkward to you a little bit, like, wow, that's warmer than I'm accustomed to, because I've never met this person. It's such a huge advantage, and you'll learn to get very comfortable with that, because it's a huge benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really does. And I mean, hey, you don't want to use it for sales, use it for dating,
There we go.
Not you and me, we're married, but not to each other, but
right.
Now, another topic we both really love is this, not that we love digital pollution, but we love the topic around like digital pollution. There's so much noise. There's so much stuff out there. Like, how is it impacting our sales professionals?
Yeah. So a couple things. In the book, we break down like 3 basic categories of digital pollution. One is innocent, and that's like the old email chain letters, or when someone is replying all when no one needs to reply all. Someone puts you in a group text or a group LinkedIn message kind of without your permission, and it's not really like, I don't need all, like, you pick your phone up and there are like 42 texts. You're like, what the heck is all this stuff? Oh, it's this group message I didn't want to be in, right?
Yeah.
So there's kind of this innocent category, and sometimes it's fun and silly and it's frustrating. On the far other end is this like really dangerous stuff. Malware, phishing, cyber attacks, denial of service attacks on entire websites or systems, all of that, like truly evil, nefarious stuff. And then there's this big fat middle that a lot of us are stuck in. We're either producing it, we're certainly all receiving it. This is the automated stuff, the stuff that's cold, the stuff with bad variable data, the stuff that you're getting and you're like, why did I get this? That's not my title. That's not my zone of responsibility. No, I know I've gotten this one a lot. Hey, I just talked with Connor McCluskey, is our CEO. Hey, Connor McCluskey just gave me your name and said, you're the person for IT services at BombBomb. I'm like, I know none of those things are true.
Right.
Right. And so there's like this big zone, and I call it consequential pollution, because the goal isn't to pollute or to steal like it is in the intentional pollution category, but it's a consequence of trying to get your job done without truly thinking in full about what you're doing and the cost of it. So we're either creating it. So we're creating consequential pollution. We don't necessarily understand the consequence. Congratulations. We can high five and say, hey, we moved conversion from 2.8 to 3.4. We're up 0.6%. Which can't do the math in my head of what kind of benefit that is. It's almost a 25% lift. Congratulations, us.
Yeah.
But what we fail to see there is that we're still at now I'm going to need to do my math again, like 96.6% failure rate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what does that mean? And of that 96.6% failure rate, how many of them marked us for abuse? How many of them blocked our domain from receiving messages from us again? How many of them forwarded it to a friend and said, look, this garbage that I got. Right. This person from this company did it. Sometimes these people even go to social media with it. They're kind enough maybe to blur your face and name that way, right? Yeah. And so I don't think we're thinking enough about the negative consequences that we're creating, because we're training people with all of these sends to open or delete our next message. And as we behave, the machines are continuing to learn more about us, and they're going to have increasingly control over what your recipients or your targets or your prospects or your customers. Machines and algorithms are going to increasingly control what they see, when, and how, and it's going to be based on how they're behaving. And so this idea that we can keep running these same kind of volume-based, impersonal moves across the board, we're essentially eating away at our own future. We do some
Yeah.
math, I think, in chapter 3 that really walks out in a real situation how costly this can be for us. But we're blind to it because we're all high-fiving about that 3.4% or whatever number I made up, right?
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. The other side, and then I'll give it back to you, is let's just say you're going above and beyond. Let's say you have a really high value product, a very complex sale, and you're doing truly personal outreach that's highly targeted and thoughtful, and you're doing all the things right. There's a lot of human investment in it. You're just like way over the top in terms of sincerity, thoughtfulness, etc. Right? Real value sales, and relationship building and prospecting and all of that. You are also suffering the consequences of a noisy and polluted environment because our alert is always up. You no longer get the benefit of the doubt. People who need and want to hear from you sometimes can't even get your message because all of this other noise out there and the filtering and their own like mental filtering and behavior and swiping and deleting and spam filters and all of this, like, even if you're doing the very best job you can, you have to be aware of digital pollution and its cost to you. So that's more than you probably wanted, but
no,
it's
100%.
such an important problem, and we can't be blind to it because we have to act relative to reality, and this is reality.
Exactly. Alex Bush asked, I hope you're still on, a couple really good questions. And so, I'm gonna answer them, and then I'm gonna throw them to you, Ethan. But and it's a two-part question because you only get to ask, you only get so many characters per update. But so he'd like to know some specific examples of how video would close a deal, which I think you've already given. He probably wrote that before you gave the example of the follow-up call. But for prospecting, for account management, answering questions, we love using videos to answer questions, for sharing resources, all of those things. And I'm sure Ethan and I can both give you examples of how, real life examples of how that happened. And then what's cool, Alex, is in both the solutions, BombBomb and other solutions out there, a lot of times, well, first of all, you'll see the reaction because people will reply to you. I tend to use LinkedIn messaging more than I use email just because I'm on LinkedIn more. And the nice thing about adding video to LinkedIn, depending on the platform, is it will populate an image and it'll actually populate a moving GIF. So the second part of your question was about links and IT structure and can we, won't it get stuck? And sometimes it does, which is one of the reasons I do it through LinkedIn because it tends to get through the filter that way. And then if you see a picture of me, you're a lot more likely to click on and listen to it. And then the other thing is a lot of the video solutions out there track. So you can actually see who's opened it, who's looked at it, who they've sent it around to. So as an example, we had a client who thought they were literally in the world of marketing and social selling. And they were like, we don't need you because like, this is what we do for a living. And we're like, okay, cool. And so Kurt, who was our chief business officer at the time, all these titles, Kurt actually did a little audit of the top, he just went online, showing online, like, okay, cool. You guys are awesome at social media. Great. And social selling. So he went on LinkedIn, looked at the company page. The first 3 profiles that showed up were horrendous. And they were the salespeople, and they were wrong for 3 different reasons. And he used the video to say, this is why you might not have as strong a brand as you think you do. And you might not have as good a brand as you think you do online. And so he did that little audit. This is after they'd had conversations. So it wasn't like pet peeve, someone who comes to me and says, your LinkedIn profile sucks, I can help. And I'm like, okay, I literally wrote 3 books on LinkedIn. My handle is the LinkedIn expert. And if you take a look at my profile, I'm pretty sure you can agree it doesn't suck. But they just go in and like, you suck and I can help.
Copy paste.
FOMO.
Yeah.
Exactly. So don't come in cold like this, and definitely research your client first. But anyway, it was after a few conversations, we came in, he did the audit. He could see how that audit got passed around through like 48 people in the company. Long story short, we ended up closing the deal and they became a client of ours. And Ethan, I'm sure you have similar stories to where that you can tell Alex about, how in fact video can help in the sales cycle.
Yeah. First and foremost, video is not magic.
No,
You can't just take your standard emails, turn them into videos and expect magic to happen. Just like an email without a video or a LinkedIn message without a video, you can't expect that it's going to be magic.
Exactly.
I will say though, if it's sincere, if it's thoughtful, if it's helpful above all, it will be better in many cases than sending it in a different format. And you just need to pick your spots. I have frameworks on the 3 kind of categories that you would use to say, should this message be video or should it be text? As for stories, reach out to me directly. I've got a number of things I can share with you by LinkedIn messages, but I will also say that this book, that Viveka is one of 11 experts that Steve and I interviewed, including Mario Martinez Jr. of Vengreso. Morgan J. Ingram shares a couple success stories that turned him on to video in the first place. Dan Tyre, who is the sales person at HubSpot and the 6th employee overall, talks a lot about his video success rate. They're everywhere. And so if you're looking for reasons not to do video, it's easy to find them.
Yeah.
And I understand that because it's like, it feels like it's more effort out of the gate, but I promise.
And it is.
And this belongs in the mix. My number one goal. Yeah. I would love more people to subscribe to BombBomb. Yes. I want more people to buy Human-Centered Communication here as a pre-order. But above all, I want more people working in a professional capacity to find spots to mix this in with their faceless messages, with their phone calls, with their video meetings, because it's better, period. Showing and telling with screen recordings, communicating things with sincerity, gratitude, concern, if that's the appropriate feeling, kind of a corrective fire under someone, if that's the appropriate thing. Like, there's just so many ways to put all of the immeasurables and the intangibles and the human qualities into our digital communication, because we're going to do more digital communication in the future, not less. I don't care how open the economy is. We're going to be in these spaces more often than less. These spaces are going to be more noisy and more polluted in the future, not less. And so we need to, as you said, Viveka, like, they can see me, right? We need to lead with our identity. We need to verify our tone and our intent and our meaning, and the fact that we are coming with something useful, that we are coming in their best interests. And video is going to help you do that better than anything else. I think being physically present with someone is the best. Being psychologically proximate through video more often in the sales process, intuitively, you have to imagine that it's going to be better for you, because people still buy. I know this is trite. People still buy from people, and trust is the currency of the economy. The psychological proximity and human-to-human exposure, even if it's digital, is where trust is formed.
100%. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sorry, I got kind of soapboxy there.
I love it. I get soapboxy too.
Yeah.
You should see me yesterday. But yeah, no, 100% true. It's an omnichannel. We're not saying drop phone calls. We're not saying drop, social messaging. We're not saying drop texting. We're not saying drop email. If you want to drop cold calling, that's up to you. But it becomes another channel. It's part of that omni-channel approach, because you don't know where your buyer is. But to Ethan's point, seeing the person, hearing the person, literally hearing their voice and having them speak to you, that human-centered communication is a huge, huge differentiator in all the noise. So we have 2 minutes left, and I know you have to leave 1 minute early. So we have 1 minute left. Ethan, anything that you would like to say as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, I will soft sell this opportunity. You were kind enough, Viveka, to spend hours with us. This book is available for pre-order. Our whole goal is to help you break through the noise, get the attention, build trust, create engagement, and ultimately enhance relationships, revenue, and this is the most important one, long-term reputation, not just with humans, but with the machines that are going to increasingly control. And so to help, we brought in Viveka, we brought in Mario, we brought in Morgan J. Ingram, we brought in Lauren Bailey from Factor 8 and Girls Club, we brought in Dan Tyre, who I mentioned, we brought in Matt Sweezy from Salesforce, we brought in Dan Hill, who's an emotional intelligence expert who holds 7 US patents in the analysis of facial coding data, Jocko Vanderkoy of Winning by Design. This thing is stacked, and it is is loaded with practical tips and takeaways, not just about video calls and video messages, but you'll get plenty on that, but how to put other people first in a practical way, how to balance this challenge of efficiency versus effectiveness, of volume versus outcome, and just balancing all these things that are real challenges for us with the reality that we're going to be spending more time in these channels, and these channels are going to be more noisy and more polluted as we go forward. And so how do we continue to be successful despite that? And so you're going to see a lot of voices, a lot of perspectives, a lot of faces, a lot of stories through this book. And if you pre-order, we have a bunch of experiences where some of these experts that we talked about are going to be joining us in live events that you can participate in. It's like a live thing. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it. And I'm glad that it's brought to life a little bit. And I appreciate you allowing me to talk about it. And I appreciate you, Viveka, personally, for spending like probably 2.5 hours with Steve and me, at least another 40 minutes yesterday on this journey. It was awesome. And it was awesome today. Now we're like 4 or 5 hours. It's so appreciative.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Go to your phone call. I'm going to sign this off. Ethan's got to go. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Continue to put questions in any of the Q&A areas. We will we will definitely get to them. Ethan said he's going to get to the LinkedIn questions today, and then he'll go jump on the other socials and answer any questions you have for him there. Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome, awesome weekend.